In this tutorial, I'm going to show some techniques for modifying basic shapes. If you go under the cube, third icon down on the left, these are, they call them the generate group, where you can do a cube, cone, cylinder, sphere, torus, and then a couple other interesting shapes. So let's start with the cube. And you can do the cube from center, from diagonal, or from some 3 points. As you can see over here on the top right-hand side, the options for cube. So I'm just going to do it in diagonal. I'm just going to draw it close to the center and bring it up, roughly in this proportion. So what you can do is you go back to the our pick tool. Under the pick tool, once we have an object, you can pick different parts of that object. Like you can pick the entire object, which is the first one. You can pick a point. So I could grab this front point here and I could stretch that out and start to make shapes based on where that point goes. So it's going to undo the movement of that point. You can grab the segment. You can grab a face. There's several things you can do here. So let's go with the segment tool. And I'm going to grab that back segment. And I want to control how I move that. So if we look at this from the right side, and we go to the move tool down at the bottom here, I'm just going to click in space since I've already selected that. I'm just going to click in space and move it up. So I can move it in different directions, but if I lock to the grid, I can have it go on this angle. So we can start to move these shapes around. We can also grab, I'm going to grab the face. Hold on, let me deselect that segment. And I'm going to grab the face. I'm going to put my reference plane flat in that floor position. And I'm going to take this and go down to where the move tool is again. And we have move, rotate, I scale, and U scale. Like I scale is an independent scale. So if I click on that and I click on my center, I can take that face and I can scale it in one direction. Or I can go to universal scale. Starts with the center, and if I click here and move out, it'll go in all directions. Now I have a nice kind of a tapered shape. So let's do that and leave that. We'll perform a few more functions to that. So if we leave that face selected, let's go to the round tool. Derive 3, it's the cube with that yellow section in the center. And I have it on radius. So now it's at 3/4 of an inch. Let's see if that even fits. So there, now I'm raising just those segments that outline, whoops, a little crooked here, that outline that face on the top. I'm going to undo. Just going to draw another cube because that one was a little crooked there. So if we also grab that face and go back to the radius tool, I had it on circular at the top, cross section. We can also do bevel. So if we click on bevel, I have that set to 1 inch. It can make this top bevel all those surfaces. Oops. We can also do multiple functions like this. So I'm going to go back to selecting that face. I'm going to universally scale it. I'm going to click to the center, come out to one side, and give us this nice kind of a tapered shape. Let's go to radius, leave it on bevel. 1 inch might be a little bit. I'm going to go to 0.75. Bevel that in. So now we can also do multiple functions. I got a bevel, got a taper and a bevel. So if we grab these segments that go around the edge of this bevel, go back to the radius tool. So that was a bevel. Now let's go back to a circular radius, 0.75. Let's see if that fits. So now I can radius that edge. So now I'm starting to build up this shape with these different functions. Now, if we want, we can take this corner. I'm going to select 3 segments in this corner, one in the radius and the one at the top. And I can now round those. Let's put that on a smaller setting. Let's do 0.5. Now I can start to round these corners. So this is just some techniques for manipulating a basic shape to turn this into something else. So let's undo these functions and get back to our rectangle. Just going to move in a little bit. Now there's another set of tools which are interesting. They're the third one down on the left here on the top. It's called Reshape. There's a couple in here that are interesting. The twist tool, so we can grab a shape like this and it automatically will twist. So we can control this twist by using the controls. And we can calibrate that, how much twist and where we want the twist. So edit, undo the twist. You can do it from the center, from the top, and you can control where on the shape that you do that. I'm going to grab this up arrow, and I can make the twist go only from there. So the bottom stays straight, the twist is only at the top. So there's several controls for that. You get interesting shapes. Next to the twist, we have the bend tool. So if we grab the control at the top, we can bend this. We can bend this in different directions. Right now I have it working on this axis. I can change the axis and bend it, again, up and down from the bottom and from the top, and I can control how much bend is on each one of these sections. The third one is bulge. There are several others in here that are also good. I'm just going to address some of these. So bulge, I can also control. I'm going to grab the corner control. I can bulge this out both directions or in one direction, or I can go in. So I've created a negative curve on both those front planes and a positive curve on the other two planes. Okay, let's move on to another shape. So undo cube. Let's do a cylinder. Quite often it is a good idea to center our objects. So I'm going to try to put this right in the section, in the center. So up at the top there, we have X, Y, and Z coordinates. So to do that, if you just click on the X and just kind of backspace and go 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, enter. Oops, I didn't have my cylinder selected. Go back and do that again. 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, enter. I start my cylinder. So I'm going to click the base of the cylinder and then just raise that up. So you get 2 clicks to create a cylinder. Again, we can deform different parts of this. So I think let's try the face on the top. And I'm going to independent scale this one. Grab the center and I come out. I'm going to turn this into an oval. So now I have an oval top, almost like a tube shape and kind of round at the bottom. Let's try cutting this with a line. So I'm going to grab my arc tool. It's, again, 2 points with the center point. I'll show you how that works. I have another tutorial just on how to manipulate lines, which will go into more detail in some of this. I'm going to go to hidden line so I can see my shape. So I want to center this, and we can scale it. So I'm snapping to that oval on the top, to one end, to the other end, and I'm just going to create an arc about like this. I'm going to select that arc, put that on object, select the arc, and move this down. So now it's cleared beyond this geometry. So I can take this shape and I can trim that. So if we come down into the modified tool group that I'm selecting right now, way over in the far corner here is trim split. And in trim split, if you select line, you can do multiple objects. I'm going to select line, which is the one on the far right on the top. So I'm going to grab my object and I'm going to trim it. So now I cut the top of that off. Let's go back into shaded. And the top is closed because when I did that trim, I had it on stitch, this little thing. If I didn't have that on stitch, I would cut the top off and it wouldn't be filled in and it would become a surface. I'm going to talk more about surfaces and solids in a later tutorial. This is just another way. So right away, with doing some modifications to this basic shape, we start to get some interesting contours. And then again, like some of the other ones, we can select this segment here and we can radius that. I'm not sure if 0.5 will fit. Yep, fits. If it didn't fit, it'll say it won't, and you have to make changes. So now we can start to get some interesting shapes. I'm going to do one more shape. Just undoing. Let's do a sphere. Again, let's put that sphere right in the center. So I'm going to go up to my coordinates, go to the X, go 0. Yeah, I'm on there. Okay. Coordinates 0 tab, 0 tab, 0 enter, and it's not in the right place. Hold on. Tab 0 tab, 0 enter. So now I'm in the middle of this whole thing. I'm going to change it so I have my point at the top. So there, I just changed my reference plane. So just make a sphere, roughly like that. I'm just going to go to fit, get that in closer. I don't have that on center, but I think it'll be okay. So what we can do is we can now take this and distort this. So I'm going to grab the object. Object, view front. I'm going to do independent scale. Select the center. Go to the top and just stretch it straight up. So now I'm creating this more of an oval solid. Like that. So we look at it from the side view. Where am I here? View right side. And we do the same thing. We do independent scale. And select the center. So now I can flatten this out and make this more like a flat kind of an oval shape. Oops. What happened? So we can start to do things like this. And if we start trimming this, we could come up with some interesting shapes. I'm just going to go into line so I can see the different parts that I'm working with. I'm just going to make a straight line at the top. I'm going to grab that line and move a copy at the bottom. Move one copy. And put that maybe a little bit higher like this. I'm going to take my arc tool. I'm just going to draw a curve over here. About like that. Right now I'm just going to move one. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. Use scale, universal scale. Just make it about like that. Move it in a little bit. And I'm going to mirror it to the other side. If I click to the bottom of my spherical shape, it'll snap to the bottom. And if I mirror this over and it goes straight up, I have on both sides. So I'm going to take these lines and cut through this shape with our trim split tool that I showed earlier. I'm going to grab the shape, trim one side, grab the shape again, trim the other, top and bottom. So now I start to get an interesting shape. And again, we can take these and radius these sections. Radius 0.5 might be a little bit big. Oops, it actually worked, but I didn't select both of them. So to select both, I need to hold the Shift key down, select both, radius. Okay, so that's kind of big. It was working a little hard to figure that out. They're a little large, but it worked. So now I can start to get interesting shapes. I know I have all my cross-section lines, but if we go to this shaded tool and deselect, I can see what this looks like without any of the construction lines. Okay, so I'm just going to do one more. Just erase all of these. I'm just going to select and just delete. So let's go back to some of our other shapes. View top. I have a spherical shape. I want to start that in the center. Maybe about like this. And then I'm going to draw a cube shape. I'll do that right on center. Let's go to line. It'll snap to the center, and it made a cube, and it made it these dimensions because I didn't do it dynamically. So let's see what size that is. So now we have this size here. So I'm going to look at it from the front view. Grab the cube shape, view front. Let's back up a little bit. I'm going to move it down so it sits in the cube approximately like this. I'm going to independently, I guess I could leave it. Let's see what this looks like. So now I have these two shapes here sitting on top of one another. So what we can do, I'm going to go to hidden line. So I got the cube going up inside there. So I'm going to go to the union tool, which is right here under modify, where I'm looking right now. I have union, intersection, and difference. So let's do a union, which means I can take the sphere and the rectilinear shape. You click on both of them, and I go to the union tool, and I click. They are now connected. You can see that intersection. So with that intersection there, I have that line shape in between. So what can happen is we can take all of these segments, so let's see if this will radius them all at the same time. I'm going to back off on this a little bit, 0.25. Might have to do one at a time. Oh no, it did it. Okay, so it radiused all the corners, and it did that negative radius inside. This is now all one solid shape. So I'm going to leave them where they are. What we can also do is we can difference these shapes. So the difference tool is the last one, this third. So if I grab the spherical shape and difference this one from it, it will take that space away from the sphere inside. So if I do intersection, it'll give me the space, it'll give me the object that's created by both of these forms. So you see, that's why now I get this little cuboid form with this round bottom on it. Okay, so that's the end of this tutorial, and we'll have more later.